Welcome traders to the February 7th recap from tradingprobability.com. We're going to go through and go over each probability report and the market action, kind of go over our process of what we are looking for, how we use the probabilities to hopefully give you a little bit better understanding of our service and clear up sort of some confusions that anyone may have to just help you out. So today, another wild one. We had an inside day, tight range. Everything was set up for breakout trades. Looked like everyone got short early, and then just had to cover the rest of the day as usual. The bulls are the strongest side. Shorts have just been getting roasted, and evidently when Bernanke started to speak, any new shorts today, any shorts from the last couple of days covered as we ran new highs. So what we'll go through back here to our gap trade, and these are all delivered real time to our premium members. Basically what we're looking for today is we had a pretty strong gap fade setup. You can see we have a little bit bullish edge. We had a +5 to a -3 off the open. We go down here, we're looking at 87.5 overall win rate, 1.96. We see 75% win rate for a down gap with a 0.87 profit factor. First off, we like to note that we only take gaps that are +2 or -2 handles. And once we did open, we only opened down 1.75. And so this whole gap trade was negated. But what sort of threw caution to the wind was this 0.87 profit factor. And sort of based on the overnight action, we thought that we might see a little bit of down initially, and so this off the open trade just didn't look very attractive to us. We had the profit factor time frame higher was 54.5%. We had a down ratio in the first 30 minutes, down ratio in the first hour. You can see the first moves, there weren't a whole lot of edges there, 45%, 54%. And so we just didn't look to take this trade off the open. Our four-handle bias backed up breakout trades. We had a 100% win rate on up profit factor, or on up trades with a, basically an infinity profit factor because all trades were winning. Down 66.7% win rate with a 4.89 profit factor. All had good ratios. All showed really good breakout trades, which went along with the inside day narrow range. Market likes to break out, market likes to move. All right. And so all this just sort of didn't get us a good feel for a gap. And so we basically elected to sort of watch what the first 30 minutes did to get into to trade. And looking at the open, here's a 6:30 bar, which is 9:30 Eastern. We basically opened up and drove down about the first 35 minutes. You can see here this is the previous day's low, previous day's high. We took it out here at 650, broke it, kind of bounced back up, tried it again, bounced back up. Bernanke started to speak here, and then we see the sell imbalance. We've been talking a little bit about sell imbalances, and they've been bought, especially early. And this one is just the same. You can see we get a sell imbalance, reversal right on the S1 pivot. We come back up, take out that bar within 10 minutes, which is another confirmation of a reversal. Kind of sit up around here, and then shorts just covered. And so basically below yesterday's low to here, a lot of new shorts came in the market. From here to about here, all those shorts covered. And so we got shaken off this reversal trade just because it was a little bit more news oriented today. A lot of times we don't like to trade news. Yeah, there's big moves involved, but a lot of times there's just no real edge to it. And we don't trade Fed days, and so this was just something that we didn't put a whole lot of conviction behind. You never really know what's a head fake, what's not, and so we just sort of stayed on the sidelines, wanting to wait for the initial balance to sort of shake out to see how we're going to position ourselves. And so for the initial balance, we came out and we saw overall, very strong edge to break lower. The highs were very strong. You see a pretty good win rate. We had a 56.25% win rate, one profit factor. If it broke higher, we didn't have a whole lot of edge one way or the other. But the biggest one was this previous day low. We had a 78.95% win rate with a 7.03 profit factor. And so that's basically shorting a low break, holding to the end of the day. You can see we have our overall edges. We had a 68.42% chance the first move would be down 12 handles. And so we overall, probability-wise, it was very bearish. But based on this chart and this setup, especially if we pull out, you can see on this 15-minute chart, here's that 15-minute reversal, and there's the initial bounce right there, and you know that reversal is just too powerful. Pulling back on the 30-minute chart here, you can see this is the initial bounce right there, and you can see that reversal forming right there. And so based on the probabilities, shorts had the edge, but based on the price action, it was pretty inconclusive. And so again, that's sort of why we stayed off the short side today. But just another fact that, how do we try to pick out the 21.15% chance that do break higher? How do we sort of look for those and are aware that could be happening? All right. And so once we broke higher, we basically broke all this within 30 minutes. Once we broke higher, we had edge to trade to the 1344.5 to 1350.5 area, and we had a pretty good win rate now. So now we're showing 100% break, 85.71% win rate, 9.9 profit factor. So that gave us the edge that we're probably going to close above 38.5 based on context, based on the double break, new highs, that backed it up even more. We had, you can see the edges over here in the column. We have 44.5, 50.5, 54.5, 53.25, and so basically, and then we have our rotation targets at 40.25 to 42. And so basically anywhere within sort of that 42 to 50 range is what sort of the target was today. We thought that the 38 and 38.75 area get revisited, those single prints, because there wasn't really any buy side imbalance. We can see we'll go pull back to the 5-minute. You can see there's just no real buy side imbalance. It's just kind of a nice, steady, even short covering. And so usually when we see that, we're going to generally drift back to that initial balance. But we just never did. We came back, tested the 2-day range highs, and that was about all the shorts could get today. And so that didn't happen. But the edges were clear that longs were the trade, and so that's what we tried to get. And so basically what we're looking at, all right, we came up here, we were getting overbought, we looked for a reversal, we got our time frame lower, and then we entered some shorts right up in this area, right at the R1 pivot. Kind of came down a little bit and then just kind of chopped around. We didn't get anything. We just saw it going flat in the lunchtime. So we exited, pieced out, just for a break even minus some commission here and there, and just kind of watched it sit flat, trading within a couple handle range. We came back in. We usually come back in with about an hour and a half left in the day. We came back in, saw this little spike down here, and basically we had orders basically splayed out from that 42 level down to that 38.75 level, got filled on one piece, took it up here to new highs, exited out, and then rode a little short into close, just sort of based on oversold levels and the fact that this was so prominent. We'd figure going in the end of the day that chances are we'd revisit that level. And that was sort of a scratch day for us, all things considered. We followed plan, we stuck to our stops, stuck to our exits. And so it was a decent day for us. It just is hard seeing this huge move and not taking a piece of it, but can't beat ourselves up. In our trading recap, we see a pretty clear picture of fading weakness going with strength tomorrow. All right, so just another thing, we're going to be expecting more strength. We see a +6, -3 off the open, but the biggest thing here looking down is you can see if we break out higher, 65% win rate, 2.02 profit factor. If we break lower, 31% win rate, 0.5 profit factor. So go with a breakout higher, fade a breakout lower. Looking at previous day's range, 73% win rate, 4.1 profit factor. Go with upside break, 28% win rate, 0.17 profit factor. Fade a low break. All right. Again, we get a 62% win rate long at open. All right, first moves looks like a +4. We get a little bit of an edge. Gaps filled 73% of the time. Win rate 80% of the time. Profit factor 2.58. All gaps look very attractive to fade tomorrow. Four-handle bias, both look like fades. So watch that initial spike, initial short covering, initial long liquidation. So there's probably a lot of new traders that are getting into this market. And so expect a weak hand flush one way or the other tomorrow to get into fade. But we're going to be looking to fade the gap, and we're going to be looking to go with strength, fade weakness tomorrow. All right. We included a chart that we provide to our institutional clients, and this is basically a chart that sort of gives probable paths based on statistics, based on a couple of our algorithms. And so what you look at is these thick green and red lines up here. This is sort of the upper probability path. This down green, down red is the lower probability path, and these skinny lines are sort of the max of our data. And so anything outside of these are just sort of signify, a very low probability event. And you can see here these next 2 hours, none of the data called for anything higher. And so, I think basically by 11:30 Eastern time, we were up around 43, 44, and so basically a day like today is just statistically an improbable event. And so it just goes to show you that had you been shorting a day, don't beat yourself up. That was the edge. If you trade a day like this, 7 times out of 10 you're probably going to win on the short side. Looking at this probability curve, you can see that had we followed the main path up here, you don't get a whole lot of upside momentum towards the end of the day. And I think the high of the day was around 45 today, right up around in this area, and closed right around here. So once we use these charts to sort of see, hey, which way is the market going? So after this was formed after the first hour of trade, and so as we go along, we get a little bit better correlations. But you can see that had the market sort of been following this path, you're gonna get a better idea of how it could close. If it's following this path, you get a little bit better idea. And so obviously towards the end of the day, this is the path that we take. So anyways, good trading tomorrow. Hopefully this helped out a little bit. We're going to try to have more videos to go over our process a little bit more, go over our probabilities. But other than that, we'll see you guys tomorrow.